Welcome to another episode of Missionary Moneymaker. Why making a dime is making a difference. I'm your podcast host, Carl James Wynn Jr. And today I'm going to jump into something that is so critically important for us to think about when it comes to business and expanding our business. Now, let me say you can use what I'm about to share, whether you're talking about a for-profit business, a nonprofit business, or just an individual brand. You can use this in order to expand your reach. And as you know, that is my goal with this podcast, is to empower Christians to expand their reach, to be missionaries in the marketplace, to increase their impact, their income, and their influence. And so today I want to talk about something that I've learned through reading the scripture, which is this: a masterclass in marketing. It's timeless principles for reaching the right audience. And the truth is, I've learned this through reading through Proverbs chapter 8. And so I'm not going to read through Proverbs chapter 8, but I just know that these principles that I'm going to talk about, these timeless principles for reaching the right audience, they're found in Proverbs chapter 8. So let me jump into it. So first of all, we have to understand this: every business, every organization, every individual, we all have limited resources of time, talent, treasures, and trust, which are relationships. And the question is not, are we investing? The question is, who are we investing in? And the goal of great businesses, great organizations, they invest deeply in the right audience, in the right people. And so the first step is that we need to understand that is critically important, is to make sure that we're investing in the right people. And in order to do that, we got to get clarity on who we should serve. Now, a poor marketing plan is that I serve everyone. No. You have to identify who you are called or who you have chosen to serve. Because if you don't know that, there is no way for you to craft a marketing message to reach someone. And so the foundation of marketing is knowing who your audience is. And to get clarity on that, I want to take you through a process that I went through to get clarity on why I'm even talking to you as a Christian. And so to do that, you got to do three things. One, you need to identify your vision. That means, where are you going? And then secondly, you got to identify your mission. That is, what vehicle I'm going to use to get me to where I'm going. And then the third is goals. What is the fuel for my vehicle? And so to do that, you got to do some homework. And about 2 years ago, I did this exercise. So I asked myself this question that every business needs to ask themselves, every individual needs to ask themselves. If we're going to know the right audience, we got to ask ourselves this: at the end of my life, how do I want to be known? So I asked myself that question: how do I want to be known? And so for me, I came up with this answer: I want to be known for someone who used my time, my talent, my treasure, my trust, which are relationships, to make the lives of individuals more happy, more healthy, and more holy. And so that is my goal. How do I take what God has given me and invest it properly in the lives of people and make their lives more happy, healthy, and holy? In short, I want to use my life to increase people's quality of life and standard of living, because I believe God has called us all to live a life of contribution. And so when you are clear on your vision, your mission, your goals, then you can be clear on your audience. So the first principle is this: know your audience. Don't let the music die with you. That is something I've been telling Christians for the last year. Many Christians say that they want to write a book. Well, that is my goal, is not to let the music die with you. Because guess what? Once you die, the value that you have, it can't come back out. And writing a book is a great way to increase your impact, your income, and influence. And my goal is to help 10,000 Christians in 2026 write and publish a book. So if that's you, I want you to download this free worksheet. It's called 5 Ways to Finding Your Unique Book Idea. And I want to help you write your book. Remember, don't let the music die with you. Go ahead and start singing it loud and proud right now. And remember, this is not about pride, but it's about productivity. So I like fishing. And in fishing, there's many different types of fish you can catch. You got bass, you got catfish, you got perch. Now, each one of those fish, they eat different baits. And so if you have the wrong bait, you're going to catch the wrong fish. And so a great fisherman, before they go fishing, they identify the type of fish that they want to catch. And so think about this from a business standpoint, from a missional standpoint, that if you don't identify who you want to serve, then you don't know how to craft the right message to draw them in, to impact their lives. You don't know how to create the right services. So you need to know your audience before you get started. Now, let me say this. Your audience can change over time, but just know this, that when you start off, you need to have an ideal client in mind, an ideal avatar in mind. Who do you want to serve? Now, that's why the exercise that I did is so important, because it gives you clarity on who you want to serve. So for example, let me give you my vision. My vision is this: in partnership with God, transform lives worldwide. And my mission is this: in order for me to get to this destination of transforming lives worldwide, I created my mission is this, is that to create value for colleges, for communities, and for commerce, helping individuals become more happy, healthy, and holy. So when you think about that, I've identified that I want to impact college students. I want to create value for college students. I want to create value for communities, and I want to create value for commerce. There's business. So I have that target. Now I went a step further with my goals. One is this: I want to help 10,000 Christians write and publish a book. So I want to impact college students. I want to not impact Christians. I want to impact their lives. That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, Missionary Moneymaker, is because I wanted to reach Christians. And then the second thing is this: colleges. So I'm involved in college ministry on the campus of Texas Southern University. And so I'm reaching out to these college students because I know this for a fact, that if I invest in college students today, they're going to impact the world tomorrow, because they're coming from every place and they're going to go back every place. And then commerce. I love business. I love that business is an opportunity for us to create value for other people. And not only that, but God has called us to live lives of contribution, and business is a way to serve people. And so that is my mission. And so from that, I'm crafting a specific message to reach these different individuals. And so principle number 2, you need to go where they are. And so think about fishing. You cannot expect for a fish to just jump out of the water into your boat, into your lap, if you're not there, right? You gotta go where the fish are. I mean, you cannot throw your line out on grass and think the fish is gonna jump, or throw it in a place where they're not. So thankfully we have some technology, especially if you're in a boat, you can see where the fish are moving, and so you can move your boat there and drop your hook. And so it's a great tool. And so the reality in business, we need to think about this, that the fish, your customer, they're not just going to show up and say, hey, sell me something. You got to go where they are. And as Christians, even as we think about reaching people with the gospel, those who are lost are not going to show up on your door and knock on the door and say, hey, preach the gospel to me. You got to go where they are. In fact, the scripture tells us, go and make disciples of all nations. Go and be ambassador for Christ. So it's not that the world is going to knock on our door. We got to go to the world. And that's one of the reasons why my goal is to equip Christians in the marketplace to reach people who would never knock on a door. Mission and money were never meant to be separated. Every Christian in the marketplace is a missionary, called to create value, solve problems, and steward influence for the glory of God. This podcast is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a prophetic reframe of how we think about work, wealth, and calling. Here, we equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and leaders to increase their impact, income, and influence without guilt, without comparison, just calling. If you're ready to leverage your past, walk in obedience, and build with purpose, you're in the right place. Let's go to work. And that's great, because we need to be out in the flow of life, evangelizing, reaching people for Christ. And so you got to go where they are. Go where attention already exists, where they work, where they worship, where they live, where they gather in communities. You need to know where your audience is and go there, whether it's offline or online. You got to know. Principle 3, communicate value. Now, going back to what I've said before, remember, God has created us to live a life of contribution. And people, your customers, they want to know that you have something valuable to offer to them. They're not coming to you to serve you. They're coming to you so that you can serve them. Remember, your goal as a business owner, as a business leader, as a ministry leader is, how can I serve the other person? How can I serve my customer, my client, my community? And so to do that, you need to think about what value can you communicate to them in your messaging? Because if you're not communicating value to them, they're not showing up. They want to know that you have put something together that's going to solve their problems. And remember, as a business, as an individual in the marketplace, your goal is to do this, is to make someone else's life better. That means, in short, increase their quality of life and standard of living. And so it's just like fishing. The fish will not bite unless you have something that is attractive to them, that fulfills their desire. And so you got to know what that is. And then the last principle is this, is that if we're going to reach the right audience, then we got to call them to action. And so you can't expect them to sign up, join your community, buy your product, follow you if you never ask. You got to ask. You got to say something. You got to give them an open invitation saying, I want to serve you. I want you to be a part of what I got going on. And so you have to do that. You got to give them an invitation and say, join here, sign up for this, buy this, allow give them an invitation so that you can serve them. They need to know what is the next step. So as I close, if you are going to reach the right audience with the right messages, then you need to do this. First, you need to know your audience. Secondly, you need to go where they are. Third, you need to communicate value in your messaging. And fourth, you need to invite them to the next step. And so I want to encourage you to notice marketing messages move the masses. Let me say it again. Marketing messages move masses. The real question is, are you reaching the right audience? So this is my next step for you. I want you to like, share, subscribe, and leave in the comments that you benefited from this message. If you did, leave in the comments your target audience. Who are you trying to reach? And then next step, definitely invite people to this community and share this podcast. Great being with you. Carl Wynn, Missionary Moneymaker. Take care. God bless you. Keep serving. Missionary Moneymaker, where making a dime is making a difference. This is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a bold reframe of mission and money, helping Christians increase impact, income, and influence without guilt, without comparison, just calling.